Hi, it's Tilly from Tilly and the Buttons, and today I want to share with you my #1 tip for speedy sewing. Now, I sew fast. I have to for my job, but also when I'm sewing for myself. I have very little free time. I'm a mum of 2 young children. I also run a business, but I do enjoy making things. So when I do have a few minutes to sit down and do something for myself, I want to see progress with my projects. Now, I want to add a caveat. This is not to say that you have to sew fast, and this is not to negate the enjoyment of the process. If you do have the time, then by all means, take it slow, enjoy the process. However, if like me, you're very busy and you want to see progress with your projects, or perhaps you're sewing to a deadline, then keep watching. So what's the secret to speedy sewing? Task batching. Now, you might be familiar with task batching as a time management tool from your day job perhaps, or your personal admin. The theory is that if you group together tasks of the same type and do them all at the same time, then you get more done, because it takes time and energy, so both physical energy and mental energy, to transition from one type of task to another. So for example, at work, maybe you've decided that you're going to have all your meetings on the same day, so you can save other days to do more sort of desk-based tasks, or spreadsheets, for example. Or perhaps you've realised that if you only do all your emails once or twice a day at the same time, then you get a lot more done, rather than if you're sort of dipping in and out all the time. You know how little you get done if you're responding to messages as they come in, right? So the same applies to sewing. The idea is that you group together tasks of the same type, rather than following the traditional sort of order of construction or of doing something that the sewing pattern instructions might outline for you, and that way you'll get more done. So say, for example, you're making a dress. Now, the sewing pattern instructions might tell you to start by pinning the shoulder seams, then stitching the shoulder seams, then trimming, pressing, finishing, I should say, trimming, finishing, pressing. So you pin the shoulder seams, then you have to put your pins away, you get your sewing machine out, maybe you've got to find your presser foot, turn it on, set up the stitch, you stitch that seam, then maybe you have to make a space to get your scissors out, trim that seam down, then you have to finish that seam. So maybe if you don't have a lot of space, you've got to get your overlocker out, move your sewing machine back, or you've got to change the foot on your sewing machine, finish that seam, think about how you're going to finish it. Then you need to press it. So then you need to go over to your ironing board, get your iron out, plug it in, warm it up, press that seam, then come back to your sewing table, then look in the instructions. What's next? Oh, now I need to pin another seam and start the process all again. With the task batching technique, you would pin the shoulder seams, but then before you put your pins away and before you get your sewing machine out, you would have a look and think, oh, is there anything else that I can pin while I'm doing this? So perhaps you could pin the side seams on a skirt, or a collar, or facing, the sleeve underarm seams, whatever it is. Now, it has to be something that is not at the point where it needs to be crossed by another seam or attached to another piece, but chances are there will be some other bits further along in the instructions that you can pin. Once you've pinned as many seams as you can, only then do you put your pins away, get your sewing machine out, and you stitch all of those seams at the same time. Then you push your sewing machine back, get your scissors out, trim them all, gather up all the little bits of offcuts from the trimming, put them in the bin, tidy it up again. Then you go over to your overlocker or change the foot on your sewing machine to finish the seam allowances, and only then do you get up and move over to your ironing board. And by that point, you would have made so much more progress with your project. Now, I love task batching so much that in my third book, Make It Simple, I've included an alternative task batching order of steps for you. So you can choose to follow the in-depth photo instructions if you like, or if you want to, you can try out the shortcut steps version, which has been reordered for the task batching approach. And it even includes tick boxes, so you can get that satisfaction of checking off your progress as you go along. So if you've never tried task batching before and want to give it a go, then I would suggest you start on either a project that's relatively simple or that you've made before, so that you're confident in the order of the construction and how you're going to flip that around. So that's my secret to speedy sewing. It really does save a lot of time, a lot of energy. So if you don't have much time or you're sewing to a deadline for whatever reason, you want to see some fast progress with your project, then give it a go. Bye.